105 FM.
Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes, is presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products on 1010XL. Now your hosts,
Lauren Brooks,
Donna Murphy, and Blythe Brumley.
Welcome back live from Orlando. Donna's still hanging tight with us.
I'm still here.
A few more months to go of pregnancy. We are going to talk a little food later in the show, by the way, inspired by, of course, Donna, who finds all things food.
Lately.
Online, absolutely. All right, well, let's kick the show off with some Jaguars discussion. On Friday, just about the time the Frangie show was about to end, it was about 6:40 on Friday, and the NFL released the top 10 Jaguars plays of 2017. And I thought it would be so much fun to make Brent and Hayes try to guess them. And they did a fantastic job. They came up with a lot of them. I was impressed. But really, my question to you ladies is, what was your favorite play from 2017? Whether or not it's one that the NFL chose, certainly doesn't have to be. What was your favorite play from 2017?
I would say when I first saw this list at first, it got me really hype for this upcoming season.
I know, I got goosebumps when I first saw it.
And it's like the first offseason that we've had in a long time where you're looking forward to the season, where there's like actual hope and you don't expect your team to be just flaming hot garbage. So watching that tweet and watching all the different plays besides the Miles Jack AFC Championship play, which
it was still an exciting moment.
It was like
the Jaguars were up at that point.
Right. It was number 4 or 5 on the NFL's top 10 list, and so that was the only one I gave a little bit of a side eye to. But if I had to pick sort of one play that sticks out to me as far as the whole season is concerned, it would have to be the Seattle game when Blake Bortles threw the 75-yard touchdown pass to Keenan Cole. I just think that game in and of itself was really changing for the franchise, for the team, for the city. I mean, it had everything. You had the Seattle team coming in, that they were the big dogs on campus, and you had the Jacksonville as a city and as a franchise has sort of been bullied, for years on end, and this game was really a statement game for this franchise, and I think it really a turning point of the entire season, that we're not going to be bullied anymore, both in the fans, with the fans fighting against the players and the yelling back and forth, and not necessarily throwing things, but the fans sort of sticking together, saying this is Duval, we stick together, we take care of our own, we stick up for our own. And then the guys on the field taking up for each other. When Michael Bennett's throwing cheap shots at Brandon Linder, you have other guys on the Jaguars squad. I think it was Leonard Fournette throwing punches in order to stick up for his team. And so this was a game that really was pivotal. And that, from a passing perspective, that Blake Bortles to Keenan Cole 75 yards, that was really sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, I think, as far as this franchise is concerned.
Yeah, and that was the first time then Everbank Field, now TIAA Bank Field, had been full for quite a long time. It had that electrifying atmosphere. So it wasn't just the fact that the Jaguars beat the Seahawks and are really trying to kind of overtake the Seahawks as the best defense in the league. But it was also, you're welcome, Jacksonville. It's been a long time since you got a victory like this at home, so you are welcome. And I think that not only was that a turning point for the season, but it also was awesome for the offense to be the real reason the team won.
To have Blake go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, it did happen again later in the playoffs against, I guess you can kind of say Buffalo, but I'm really going to say way more the Steelers game. The offense was the reason that the Jaguars won. But for most of the time last season, it was the defense. And so the offense's time to shine, that was awesome. What about you, D-Mar?
I watched the video that you sent
can't
us
pick the Patriots game.
No, from Jaguars.com. And I was very surprised that my pick wasn't in the top 10, and that was I guess you would say, when Fournette was put on display in Pittsburgh with his 90-yard touchdown run.
The come get me run.
I mean, and it had the miles per hour, and how that wasn't involved in your top 10, I don't know, because that's here he is. This is your introduction to the NFL. Here he is, your new running back for how many years, and that game to me was just like backslapping with the Steelers. It was fantastic, but it was so much on Fournette, and I just loved it, especially because I was the one that really wanted him to be drafted, and I was all for him, and I'm like, yes, there he is.
When he points out the DB in that game and says, come get me, my gosh, that's the top 5 play for me too.
Yeah.
Steelers safety Mike Mitchell, I cannot forget his name. Yeah, it's funny, Donna, because both Brent and Hayes couldn't believe that one wasn't on the list. And obviously the NFL is picking it, so it's not the Jaguars fan base.
And they're
choosing
so
that.
defensively heavy. I understand it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. I mean, you could do a top 10 of just their defensive plays alone.
And that's kind of what it felt like, because there was only, if I remember correctly, only one offensive play and one special teams play.
Right.
Because Jadon Mickens' return against Cincinnati was in there.
There was 2 special team plays. Because there was the run back.
Oh, and then there was the fake punt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's right. So 2 special teams, 1 offense, and the rest were defense.
Yeah.
So it was certainly heavy on that side.
And I guess,
it
it makes the top 10 if Bortles can connect on a wide receiver. So that is.
Man, we had 2 75-yard touchdown passes last year, Donna.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But I was stunned. I'm like, man.
He's looking good.
Fournette
Don't
doesn't
you
make
rain
the
on
top
this parade?
Well, and honestly, that's the best part about getting to review it, is there were so many great moments.
It was a lot of fun, and I have to say, it got me really excited. You know, because I mean, you can go for a couple months and linger and really kind of remember, but once you see it on tape and you're going through these again, it's jogging your memory. Like, man, this defense is really good, and this
was so
is
fun.
a lot of fun to watch. So
Absolutely. I'm kind of cheating because I'm picking 2 plays, but I really think you can combine them as the defensive effort against the Steelers in the same game you're talking about, Donna. So 2 pick sixes back to back against Ben Roethlisberger. I think that was the moment to me, and I'll never forget where I was. We had to do our kind of watch party at Whiskey Jack's, and the place was going crazy, right? I mean, because that wasn't expected at all. It was, okay, the Jaguars are playing the Steelers, and the season had been kind of up-down thus far. And so Telvin Smith picks off the ball, and I rewatched these plays a couple times. Avery Jones actually ends up batting it down, so then Telvin Smith gets to grab it, and he runs in the end zone. And then the next drive, Ben Roethlisberger throws the pick. Jalen Ramsey, I didn't remember that. He defends the ball, and then Barry Church, the safety, is able to take that one to the house. And it was like, we remember how great the defense was. We remember Ben Roethlisberger's 5 interceptions because, of course, the turnovers and everything like that were sent to him. But I had forgotten how truly unbelievable it is to have 2 pick sixes against a future Hall of Fame quarterback in their house. And oh, by the way, that's not even mentioning the first home playoff victory in God knows how long against the Bills. Not that that game itself was great. And beating the Steelers 45-42 in Pittsburgh in the playoffs. So it really was, it's almost unbelievable to think that there were that many moments when still by week 6 we weren't sure who this team was. So it was a great video. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going back and watching it. So it was Josh Scobie's birthday this past Saturday.
Happy birthday, Scobie.
Wasn't it Saturday? When Josh Lambo tweeted out something along the lines of, he's trying to make Jacksonville forget this kicker. But certainly happy birthday to him. And rightfully so. Josh Lambo wants to be the most popular kicker in Jacksonville. Not just currently, but forever, right? He wants to establish that.
Sure.
Because he wants to be the absolute best, and he's a great guy. We had him on our show last season. At what point, Blythe, because I know you're certainly a big Scobie fan, at what point can Josh Lambo overtake Scobie for you?
Have the same performance as last year for about 10 more years. That is, Scobie to me is the #1 kicker named Josh. And you know, he's one of my favorite players, Jaguars players at any position all time, just because he is sort of, he really is Jacksonville. Because I remember after the Pittsburgh game, because, you know, Scobie spent so long with the Jaguars, and then he went up to Pittsburgh. He didn't want to go play for the Steelers, but that's just the team that was going to sign him. Then he retires and lives in Jacksonville, and he knows this community. He knows this franchise. He's seen it in the ups and downs, and we had him on the show after the big Steelers playoff victory, and to hear him talk about what that win meant to the city and the franchise and the team and the fans, that brought a tear to my eye, and that's something you can't replace in one season. So I like Lambo. I love his personality, but it's going to take a little while to try to make people forget about. I think that was it kind of, when I saw it, my eyebrows raised a little bit. I was like, nobody's going to forget Scobie. So there's room for 2 Joshes, but there's still a hierarchy of who's first, and that's Scobie.
See, that's a funny comment to me, because I feel like if Ramsey made that comment, you would be all for it.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
yes,
who would
because
Ramsey...
you love Ramsey's trash talk and that, but because Lambo said, I don't know if it's a kicker against a kicker, I don't know what it is, but
kicker's named Josh.
But you seem to be a little down on it, so I'm very surprised.
Well, it's kind of like a know your place, like. Scobie's been here for
Which Ramsey
years
should
and
know
years.
his place too, but
Ramsey didn't say that.
I know, but I'm just saying that's too. But here's something, and you can go with Pro Football Reference. Say what you want with it, okay? Sometimes they are completely right, sometimes they're completely wrong. But here's something: with Lambeau last year, 95%. That's how he kicked, 95%. Never in his entire career has Scobie kicked 95%.
And I think Lambeau has the potential to become one of the favorite, or become potentially a bigger favorite than Scobie, in the sense that he could be the kicker when this team wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that can certainly change the dynamic. Yeah. But being a popular player in the community because you were one of the most popular players on the team when the team wasn't very good, that does endear you in a special way to people like Blood, to season ticket holders, that there wasn't a whole lot of other things to get excited about.
Exactly,
for that
except for Scobie.
Stretch. Right.
And franchise leader in points. He's somebody that understands this franchise in a way that a lot of players will never understand, even players on this current roster. And so for him to be able to provide that perspective from the old franchise to the new franchise is I don't think it's something that people can ever replace. So Lambeau is, I want you to try. I want you to try to be better than Scobie. But as far as like nostalgic and just as hierarchy, he'll never be able to take over.
Well, and Lambeau's going to be on a team where he's not the star, right? Like,
right.
This defense has a lot of stars. The offense potentially is going to have some stars. But the kicker's not going to be the star. And that's certainly the difference in the juxtaposition between the two players. What I love about Lambeau is the fact that he recognized that Scobie is so loved. I think that's really what the tweet kind of meant. Everywhere I go, people ask me if I've hung out with Scobie, ask me if I've played golf with Scobie, ask me if I trained with Scobie, right? Like, I'm sure at some point he's like, hey, can I get through? Right. And I, by the way, played soccer professionally, and I'm kind of well known for my slide after making that field goal. Was that against?
Yeah, but Scobie's got the Colt killer.
Awesome.
He's murdered the Steelers time and time again. He's got the 59-yarder, which is one of the great, probably before last season, the greatest fan moment I've ever experienced.
But if you look at it, like, if you want to compare like Scobie with Vinatieri's career, you can with how much he is loved. How much he was loved in New England. He was the hero for 3 Super Bowls. That's what you can say. And then he goes off to the so-called enemy with the Colts. But then in comes, Stephen Gronkowski, and okay, we're fine, no big deal. Like, Vinatieri had his time, that's fine, but now this guy he's younger and better, and we're fine. So maybe that's going to be Lambeau. Like, you're never going to forget Scobie.
Of course.
But you're like, who cares? We're good now.
I don't hate Lambeau whatsoever. Yeah. I love Lambeau. But as far as the hierarchy of kickers, Scobie's going to be number 1 for a very long time.
Well, and what's funny to me is really Josh Lambeau came in and replaced a kicker who honestly nobody really liked. So
right.
It is a lot easier for him. It's not like he did follow Scobie directly. It's just I think people are trying to forget the fact that Jason Myers was here. No offense to Jason, I'm sure
I
he's
blanked
a nice guy,
on his name, right?
But he
who was
certainly
that guy?
was not nearly as good as Scobie or Lambeau. All right, when we come back, we're going to get it to body shaming and Elle McPherson, as well as the Tooth Fairy. That's all coming up next. You'll see the helmets and heels built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL.
Here we come, baby. Here we come. A station that keeps coming back for more.
Oh, that video was so great. And I honestly felt like they could have put 10 more plays in.
Oh, of course, they have to show Mike Trout. Mike Trout's at bat, everybody. Let's watch.
Snooze.
But he's so good. What do you mean?
I know. But, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Are they on a rain delay or something? Of a game that this should be showing?
No.
Or this is the game that they're showing?
This is MLB Tonight, so they just kind of like the look-in.
Yeah.
Live look-ins.
Gosh, it's about that time of the year to start watching baseball games again.
Mm-hmm.
When is the All-Star game?
July.
Usually right
Like the
during
second week
the
of
media
July?
days,
I think it's
which
like,
start
the 16th. July.
Yeah.
Come on now.
16th, 17th.
Well, let's see what. Welcome to YouTube. Sorry if you guys tuned in last week. I was in Orlando.
So I don't
Again.
know for sure if Nim is coming or not. I reached out to him twice, and then he did get back to me today, and he was like, I should be able to make it. What's the address? And so I assume he's coming in.
No worries.
But if not, we have it.
This is ridiculous. Got a little present from the shrimp. It's in my name, or my name is in the font. A Leonard Skinner head for their final concert later this year. Come celebrate this Saturday. 2,000 fans will receive an ultra rare Ronnie Van Zant bobblehead. Can you see him?
No home runs at Fenway Park. Huh.
Kind of more excited about
That's
this.
surprising. He's never hit a home run at Fenway. It's the only American League park he's never hit a home run.
Oh yeah, interesting.
That's a good trivia question right there.
Considering
That's a
it's
good
one of the
trivia
easier
question.
parks to hit a home run in.
You would think so. I mean, not if you tend to go to the
Lefty.
left, then you're kind of screwed. Unless you hit it really hard.
I
Big
don't know where
brain
to put
moms,
this.
though.
I want this though.
Who says you have to have solar panels to get solar energy? With the new Jaguars Solar Smart program,
Did I tell you the story when we went to my parents' house and we were picking up a chair from their house? I don't think I told that story yet. So
solar energy fund.
we go to move this one chair and like
To learn more about
I pull the cushion off of it so Brian can pick it up and something falls out and I was like, and I looked and I was like, is that a gun? And then he puts the chair down and he's like, yeah, that's a gun. And I was like, oh my gosh. My parents were in North Carolina so immediately, I text him like, you didn't tell me you stashed a gun in this chair. So Brian just like kicks it under the bed. And so I text my parents and I'm like, did you forget to tell me about this gun? And my dad had totally forgotten that that's where he put it. It's not loaded. Well, and my mom was like, was it loaded? And I was like, you tell me. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not pulling the trigger.
Yeah. And so my dad was like, no, it wasn't loaded. I just forgot I put it in there. Well, that is funny enough. But then today my girlfriend sends me, because I told her the story, and she sends me this news for Jack story. And it's a guy who went to IKEA and he sat down on the couch to test out a couch, and he forgot that he had a gun in his pocket, and the gun fell on the couch, and then a child accidentally shot
Jesus.
later. So the guy had forgotten that the gun fell out. So she sends that story to me, and she goes, "Is your dad at IKEA in Indiana?"
That's funny.
I just texted it to him.
I saw the great article about some guy wrote, a husband wrote how IKEA almost ruined his marriage. Did you read that?
No.
I heard that a lot of couples, if they go to IKEA, they fight.
It's building. It was they were trying to build this together, and he went in it was a fantastic.
Now that I get.
Fantastically written article. I mean, the guy was going in details of how she's feeling this way and he's feeling this way. He's like, It was so. He goes, at what point the drawer's upside down? Why is the drawer upside down? I didn't build it upside down.
So, I have to have an IKEA date soon, and I keep thinking about that article that I read. I was like, we're just gonna get in a fight whenever we get there.
I'm gonna have to
But
look it up.
luckily, we have separate places, so he can buy stuff for his place. I'll buy stuff for my place.
That could be opportunity too. Like top 5 reasons why couples fight. Putting stuff together, I would think. Moving and putting stuff together.
He was
would be
like,
on there.
I've heard people actually fighting in IKEA. That was the root of
They
it.
disagree.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. Let's get into some body shaming. I found this article very interesting and not at all a body shaming story. I don't know why people got so all up in arms about it.
Jealousy.
But, basically. So supermodel Elle McPherson, who is absolutely gorgeous.
57 now? Is that right?
54.
54, okay.
You look at her note, there's no part of her, I believe, that is 54 years old.
She looks good.
Gorgeous. So she went on a talk show over in Britain and asked, summer tips, what are some dieting and and whatnot. The Summer 101, if you want to go with. And she said to get ready for your summer body, she likes to, one of her tips is to do a meal replacement and with a shake. You know, everything that works. We all know about
that sounds
meal
pretty
replacement
common.
shakes. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, apparently, people got all up in arms that she was promoting this Beachbody Ready and went off on Twitter and went off on the show for having her. There are comments such as, why are you promoting Beachbody Ready with her talking about how sometimes replaces dinner with a protein shake. The only way to be Beachbody Ready is by putting on sunscreen and a swimsuit.
Says somebody who probably hasn't seen the beach in a while.
I mean, and it goes on and on. You shouldn't be telling how they should change their body. Blah, 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 blah.
And I don't think she was changing her body.
No.
I think she was just improving her body for
But
the
asking-
summer
or
when more of
maintaining
her
it.
body is exposed to people.
And answering an honest question. How do you...
Sure.
What woman... These women that were commenting on it, there's no way that they either A, and I know I'm sitting here with my bag of French fries
You're
and my
pregnant,
mozzarella
that's
sticks. but
totally
that-
different. Your
That's
beach
what the
body
baby
is on
wanted
hold
tonight.
right now.
So, but there's no way they watch what they eat, they exercise. There can't be any way
Well,
that they do that.
what I have a problem with this article is that it's one of those stupid articles that all they do is handpick a few tweets out, and
Right.
the article title says "Viewers slam Elle McPherson." That's how it starts out. But the 3 tweets that they have in this article, 2 of them deleted the tweets, and then the other person has an anime character as their avatar, which
Right,
immediately
that's one.
discredits your opinion forever. Like it's just, it doesn't count. So I hate garbage articles like this.
And
Tyler, do you care about your beach body?
Have you seen me?
Well, I know you just went to Vegas, and so certainly that's where a lot of people are going to be at pools. Did you see a lot of beach bodies?
Good and bad, yes.
Did you go to any pool parties?
I went to a pool party at the Link, which was kind of like a subdued one. All the other ones are pretty ridiculous. Like if you're staying at the MGM or at Monte Carlo or the old Monte Carlo, which is now Park MGM, or anywhere on the Strip, you got to pay like a resort fee plus admission fee to get in.
Oh,
So,
if you're
like,
a dude, yeah.
Yeah, it might be like $60 to get into some of these pools.
If you're a chick, you get in for free, though. Sorry.
So I'm out of this question for right now, but what do you guys do? What's the most insane thing that you have ever done to lose weight?
Insane thing? I try to take a practical approach to my diet. I try to stick to low carb lifestyle, and I don't even really like to call it a diet. It's really just a lifestyle. Like you're gonna slip up. You're gonna eat bad foods. I've been on vacation 3 times in the past almost 3 weeks, and you eat really good food on vacation. So there's really it's all about balance, and it's all about getting right and staying on track, and if you slip up, it's not beating yourself up over it. But as far as like extreme measures, no, I haven't ever really taken extreme measures. I do remember when I was like 18 or 19 trying Hydroxycut when that was like all the rage, when before I guess the FDA like sort of came down on a lot of those diet pills. I tried Hydroxycut, but I don't remember it ever doing anything for me. I think it gave me a lot of energy, but that was it. So nothing too drastic.
Yeah, in college I did Weight Watchers because I gained the freshman 15 and more. And so my friend's mom was doing Weight Watchers, so she taught us all about it. And I was like, oh, I can count points. That's not so hard. But I took it a little bit to the extreme in that you were supposed to eat like between, let's say, 18 and 21 points. Well, I was like, oh, simple math says that if I go under 18 points every day, which was like the lowest that you should ever go according to their system, I was like, then I'll lose weight faster.
No.
Which I did.
Yeah.
But I also ended up not eating enough. I would have like a banana for breakfast, a salad with no meat on it for lunch, and then like a veggie burger for dinner, and no snacks in between.
Oh, dang.
Which in college at the time, it wasn't that bad because there was only myself to feed, and I wasn't.
And it was cheap.
Yeah, and I wasn't going out a lot at that point in time, so I wasn't like I was really struggling not eating food out. Yeah, and it was very cheap. I spent $18 every 2 weeks on groceries.
Wow.
Granted, this has been a while, but
Right.
still, I was very regimented about it. And the only problem was, if ever I came home for like Thanksgiving, Christmas, I would lose my mind on cookie dough. Like not cookies once I made them. I wouldn't eat that, but I would eat the cookie dough because I had starved myself.
Yeah, because you binge eat.
Correct.
And that's
you
what
do
happens.
binge eat. Yeah, and I would wake up the next day and like I had eaten so much sugar that my body would like hurt. So, but I will say that's not the right way to go about it. Stick to the actual
No.
points. But if you're gonna do a diet, just make sure that it's something that is realistic for your lifestyle.
Yeah,
like Tyler's TB12 diet that he's going to do.
Eventually he will do it. But I mean, I know that in high school, you know, once you go through the change and everybody gains the weight, because the most of you do, you know, for some reason, that's what I did in high school. And I know that I did at CVS or Walgreens, they had these juice diets.
Oh, the Hollywood Flush or something.
I think so, yeah, something like that. I tried, and it tasted really good, but boy, you're starving.
Right.
You know, and your metabolism's going so much because all I did was cheer and dance, and I'm not feeding myself anything, or I was drinking the Slim Fast shakes with, by the way, never give me a chocolate one because apparently I turned into a rage monster.
Interesting.
A lot of those things have a lot of sugar in it, so it's counterproductive. Like it's low calories, but it's still a lot of sugar, so it's not.
Well, look, this was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
so literally 20 years ago. So I'm sure they've gotten better since.
Before the internet told us what
right.
exactly.
Right. I'm all about my Ensure protein drinks now. That's what, because I'm old, so I drink my Ensure.
Still
but that's funny. Yeah.
A lot of sugar in those things.
The juice diets, man.
I've learned that I'm the opposite of a lot of people. I will lose weight in the winter, like football season, which really is like unheard of, right? And then I gain weight in the summer. And I know it's completely backwards. Most people are the exact opposite. But I came to the realization that I wear a lot of pants in the winter, right? Like jeans and stuff. And so that will kind of check yourself when you put your jeans on every day. But in the summer, it's like skirts and dresses and shorts, and it's less of a check myself method. You know, you can gain weight and wear the same dress and nothing really changes. Unless it's a significant amount. And so that's where I've learned I need to buy springtime and summertime pants to keep myself in shape.
I just worry with a lot of people, they try these extreme diets and they don't know that you can eat a lot of food as long as it's the right kind of food.
Right.
So like green veggies and lean proteins, you can eat a lot of that you could eat a burger every single day if you wanted to because of the ratio. And I found when I was in Disney a week ago, there was this family eating next to us, and this girl, she couldn't have been like 13 to 14 years old, and they brought her like a hamburger and fries, and so the mom called the waiter over, and she's like, excuse me, my daughter wanted veggies with this, not fries, and the girl refused. Like the rest of the family are all kind of pigging out, like, you know, eating whatever they want and getting ice cream and things like that, and the girl just sort of sat back and was just eating her little broccoli and her hamburger, and she's like, no, I don't want to gain weight. And I'm like, girl, you're 13, 14 years old. Like, you realize you can have a little bit of fries and then walk 10 miles at Disney and burn all of that off.
Yeah, that's sad.
I know, I felt bad for her, but then the mom gave us her ice cream, so I didn't feel bad for her anymore.
Man, what did she do? She sounds like she got in trouble.
I felt really
bad. You get
bad
broccoli and no ice cream.
Well, no, the mom was trying to talk her into it. She's like, no, you're going to walk this off today. And the girl was adamant. She said, no, I don't want the fries.
Yeah, that's where I feel like those magazines really do come into play in the way that younger people can look and only see a super thin, 5'10" supermodel.
Or Instagram, really, nowadays. Not necessarily magazine, but Instagram with all people, using apps to edit their, Photoshop their bodies and things like that. Like, that's a little sad. I felt really bad for her.
Well, how about from one thing to another that, it's going to be a funny story, I think. Pink, I love my girl Pink, I do. And she had the story of her daughter, Willow, getting having her tooth out, and the tooth fairy came and visited her and brought her $100. That's ridiculous, $100. Now, the story is that obviously the husband, Carrie Hart, told the daughter, look, I will give you this money if you rip your tooth out yourself.
In one try.
Yep. And she did it.
Yikes.
And that is clearly Pink's daughter, because she is one tough little mama. That's what she is. And so she earned her $100.
I wonder how long she'd been complaining about the tooth, though.
I don't know.
maybe the dad was like, just rip it out. I'll give you some money if you rip it out.
So I know that, everybody will have the topic of how much is the tooth fairy now? You got to go with inflation. It used to be a quarter. Was it a quarter for you?
It was $1.
It was a quarter for me.
I don't remember.
I had my change. I enjoyed it.
I got 6 teeth pulled one time, and I still only got $1.
So, JC had his first one. He had his first one out a month or so ago, And I'm like, awesome. So we started the tradition of you write a little note to the tooth fairy, you know, put your tooth in the paper, stick it underneath the pillow, and singing him to sleep, and he's passed out. And so what do? I just look over at his dresser, and I see that he has money already there, so I take one of his own dollars. I take the tooth and put one of his own. He doesn't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
But it's sitting there. I'm like, he's not going to know. But still, he got $1, and he will continue to get $1. Maybe for the bigger ones, maybe $2, but it'll be $1.
Yeah, you
and it was $1 for
everything for him. It's not like he needs money.
Right. But is that bad that I
No.
used his own dollar?
A little. I think. Go get that boy
great.
$1. It is kind of funny.
I mean, it's not like it's the difference between him being able to purchase Nintendo and not
Right.
when he's 15, the $1.
The $1. It's your own money. You clearly earned this $1 somehow. I don't know how you got it, but I'm putting it
How
back
did
on
y'all
your
rip
pillow.
your teeth out? Did you do it on your own, or did your parents like rip your teeth out?
No, I
think
think
I
they
did
fell.
them.
Yeah, fell out or
My mom used to
eventually.
love ripping our teeth out. She said, "Let me get that tooth."
that's
And you'd hear the crunch noise like in your mouth too. Oh, it was bad.
Is she the type of mom who also liked to like pop pimples on you?
Anything you got going on,
Same
if you got a
category.
splinter or
Yeah.
whatever, she ran it at home daycare, so she had to take care of all
Yeah,
that stuff.
true. Nope.
I will pass on that.
See, I do
she
that
ripped
with
The
those
tooth part
out.
never bothered me because I know that it's supposed to come out. Now, if a kid got hit in the face with like a baseball, let's say, because this happened to my girlfriend at softball, she was hit in the face and one of her teeth as a teenager was hanging out. So obviously that was no longer her baby tooth. So that I think is just awful.
Right.
But if I know it's supposed to come out, then I think it's less of an issue.
I had a boy, we were playing tag, and I was like 10 or 11 or something, and he was about to get tagged by me, and he took a plastic gun in his hand and threw it at my face, and he busted my lip and cut one of my tooth in half. And I had to get a crown on it. And I had to just recently, a couple years ago, get a permanent crown put on it, because I had a temporary crown for all
Did
these
you send
years.
the bill?
No, my parents told him, nah, don't worry about it as kids.
Yeah, but as an adult, I feel like I would have sought him out and
Seriously.
sent him a bill.
Luckily, insurance took care of it, so I didn't have to worry too much about it.
I enjoyed your topic on the Frangie show the other day when you were talking about your headgear.
Oh,
You had
my
to wear
gosh.
headgear.
When I had braces. It
Yeah.
was awful.
I didn't have a headgear, but I had and I don't know what it was called, but I had to widen my upper jaw.
Okay.
Retainer?
No, it's like a retainer, but you have a key. It's like a little key, and so every night you would have to turn the key, which would widen your jaw.
So painful.
I used to have to do the rubber bands, but that was the worst.
Yeah, rubber bands were
Yeah.
awful. The spacers.
Ugh.
No.
All of it. And Brent was like, well, I certainly hope that they've improved technology. And I was like, not me. I think kids today should have to go
Sucker.
through not just the
This
pain, but also
Invisalign
how
crap,
exactly
man.
It makes you
awkward it
stronger.
was. I mean, come on. You're not supposed to look great when you're 11, okay?
I know.
You have to wear glasses and braces. Deal with it.
Yep.
All right, when we come back, we're going to get into a little bit less of a funny story and talk a little bit about Jameis Winston, the Buccaneers quarterback, who will be suspended for the first 3 games, likely,
Dummy.
for the NFL season. That is coming up next. You're listening to Helmets and Heels built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL.
Visit the all-new 1010XL.com.
So if you
Hey, Tara, I forgot to ask you.
If you ever watch it,
Okay,
this is the
thank you.
article. It's on MSN. How building IKEA furniture. It was only 5 days ago.
Okay.
So that's why I found it. How building IKEA furniture nearly destroyed my marriage. And he's hilarious, this guy.
You'll have to send it to me.
He in this one part. In fact, they really should have a divorce attorney on site right next to a daycare. Here you go, IKEA. Watch my kids as I say goodbye to my marriage. Like, I mean, it's hilarious. Read this. Oh, I love it. And it's not a long story. It's very short, see? But it's funny. This guy, well written. Very well written. Look at the face. Right? He's all the
so
pieces
mad.
everywhere. It is so good. I really enjoyed it. Kids might be listening. Watch what you say. Oh.
Another tooth fairy.
Yeah, my mom.
It's too late. They're in bed.
7:30.
Only concerned about JT.
Said, damn, Donna can't spare $1. I'll start up a GoFundMe. JT's Tooth Fairy GoFundMe.
7:30. They should be in bed. And he's never listening to the show anymore.
I was going to say.
Come on, they're battling or doing something. That's funny. Oh, IKEA furniture. That's so fun. I would enjoy that.
My cousin Caitlin has a gift certificate to IKEA, and she's like, I don't need it. You guys can use it. And I still haven't been in there. I've never been into one, and I'm not sure that their furniture style is going to be my style. So then it's going to overwhelm me. Because I hate shopping.
I have no desire to go.
Yeah, I didn't either until now.
Well, the furniture is apparently cheap and modern.
Yeah, and I'm not a modern style furniture person. I'm a beach/rustic style furniture
I think that they would have that kind of stuff there too. That's sort
I
of
looked
modern.
online and I was like, well, maybe that. I don't know. And I'm sure it'll help to just see it in person. I don't want to spend like 4 hours in there, even though I know they have food and all that jazz.
Apparently, you get free meatballs,
Yeah.
and the meatballs are really good.
That kind of baffles me. That makes me. I don't understand how. I'm confused.
I was just mad that they built it at the town center and not at Regency Square Mall. Like, that to me made much more sense. But just added another reason for me to stay far away from the town center.
Everything's there.
Every place that I don't want to go to.
I gotta find a story. Let's go to Pro Football Talk. Pro Football Talk. Strangle. Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Oh, shoot.
They're going off with this.
Go on vacation 1 week, I'm already off my game.
Jalen Ramsey, because he said one thing about Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah.
What did he say about Garoppolo?
He doesn't deserve to be a top 100 quarterback yet.
I would agree.
I mean, I was surprised he was in it. That's for sure.
The only thing that, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue part of it because it's the players voting. It's not like it's media voting.
Yeah.
So.
How do they get them to vote? Is it just all the end of the season? Do they send an email? Like, how does this voting process take place?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That should be a question when next time we have someone on.
Yeah.
God, damn, the season's so close. Oh, excuse me.
What they gave me? Oh. I said a 4-piece mod stick, and they gave me 6. Ooh. Did I pay for a 6? Nope. Thank you. Didn't realize that. It's like getting an onion ring in your french fries.
What'd you get?
I ordered a 4-piece mod stick, but they gave me 6.
Ooh.
So it's like getting that onion ring in the french fries.
Hell yeah.
Mozzarella stick, is that what you're saying? You just say mott stick? I've never heard that before.
Server.
Morning from 7 to 10
Mod
on
sticks.
10
Sorry.
XL.
No, you're good. I just was making sure.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010 XL, 92.5 FM.
Welcome back into Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. My name is Blythe Burnley, and I'm joined alongside Donna Murphy and Lauren Brooks. And I didn't know if you ladies talked about this particular topic last week, both of these topics that we're about to get into, but there was a little bit of a media catfight last week. when former ESPN reporter Ed Werder got into he had a little bit of an issue of the way that Sports Illustrated, or one of the Sports Illustrated employees, was talking about available jobs at the magazine. She tweeted out, a woman by the name of Charlotte Wilder tweeted out that, hey, if any of the women that are interested in applying for this open position, please reach out to me. I will offer you advice and tips. And Ed Werder sort of took it as that women were going to be sort of ushered to the front of the line as far as this job availability was concerned. And he's been since fired. He was one of the 250 people that were laid off from ESPN last year, and they got into a little bit of a back and forth, and it caused other media members to get into a back and forth, particularly between ESPN's Sarah Spain and former ESPN employee, now turned, I guess, political commentary, Brick McHenry. Did you guys catch any of this at all, or talk about this at all?
No, we did not.
No.
I saw it.
Yeah, we brought it up last week to each other via email only, and did not discuss.
Well, see, with this particular situation, there was, particularly with Britt McHenry, she sort of came to the defense of Ed Werder, calling him the most talented NFL reporter that she's ever met. He made the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and she said, as a woman, I can too say that the best applicant should get the job regardless of race or gender. Reality in the media is that these two things often get pushed first now, and so that left a bunch of ESPN employees to sort of clap back at her and tell her that, oh, well, you were, particularly Sarah Spain, she was told that, why didn't you get more involved with ESPNW, which is the female sports angle of ESPN, and they got into it back and forth. Sarah Spain has since deleted a lot of those tweets, but Brick McHenry, she's kept a lot of them public, talking about Sarah Spain's, I guess, famous incident. And I didn't even really know this, but I guess she auctioned off her body years ago in order to get Chicago Bears Super Bowl tickets.
Well, the body part it sounds very extreme. Like, that means like,
she auctioned herself off as a date.
Yeah,
as
the body
a date.
Makes it seem like you can do whatever you want.
And that's
I don't think it was quite like that.
Yeah, there was a few different tweets that were a little misleading. I was like, how is she auctioning off her body? But that is the big complaint as far as Sarah Spain is concerned, or one of the bigger complaints, is that her opinion shouldn't really be taken seriously because of what she did years ago. And so it left a lot of other women sort of sticking up for Sarah Spain, and almost, and I'm not a fan of either of these two women for the record, but it was a lot of ESPN sort of starting to attack Britt McHenry, which I think is probably an easy target because she's a conservative commentator. But I didn't know, as far as from a female's perspective, is it right that Sarah Spain still has this sort of hanging over her head all these years later?
Well, so 2 years ago, and I had to look it up because I didn't remember when it was. Remember Gronk grinding up on, what was her name? Julie Banks. It was a Fox reporter. It was 2 years ago on TV for it was Super Bowl
Vaguely.
Media Day. It was very, very weird. Nothing really came of it. But Sarah Spain made a comment about it, how uncomfortable she was, and blah, blah, blah. And then 3 weeks later, she went on the Gronk cruise and talked about what an amazing time she had. So this Julie girl is going, I don't understand. So this happened 2 years ago. So she was getting in a Twitter spat back then.
Sarah Spain was?
Yeah, with Julie. And she goes, 3 weeks ago, you publicly ridicule me. Now you glorify your Gronk boating. Want to talk double standards? So this isn't new to Sarah Spain.
I do not like this chick.
This is not new to her. But I remembered this happening, so I had to look it up. And so look, anything that comes out of Britt McHenry's mouth, I'm not listening to anyways, because she went from, kind of trash, if you want to, on how she was treating the woman.
She had the famous tow truck incident where she berated the owner of the tow truck shop.
And never in my life have I talked to anybody like that.
Right, true.
Never. You don't, that's not, so that's all you can tell from that person of who she is. And now she's gone all political, and I don't want to hear anything she has to say. But Sarah Spain, to me, is just, she goes one way and then she'll go the other way. Mm-hmm. She's never just on one line, like, I'm going to stick to it. This is how I feel. So I don't know who to believe in this
It's
case.
almost whatever fits her agenda at the moment.
I'm almost all for Ed Werder. I don't know who to, I don't like either of you, so.
Well, and I don't love what he said, though, because,
right.
I mean, all that the one female who kind of started all of this
Charlotte Wilder.
Yeah, all that Charlotte was trying to say is, hey, if you're a female and you need some advice, I'm happy to help you out because, oh, I don't know, it's a male-dominated industry, and look around most sports entities, whether it's TV or radio, most of the men, whether they're the executives or the ones on air, maybe it's changed in the last 5 years, but for the most part, it's going to be men in those roles. And so if a female's trying to break in, of course she's going to try and get advice from another female who's in that business because she's broken through those boundaries to get to where she is. So I don't like that he should have understood where Charlotte was coming from.
He jumped to conclusions.
Yeah, in the first place. And then as far as the Sarah versus Britt, like, I think both are stooping to a level that neither should stoop to. Britt should know, like, at this point, you've got to keep yourself out of any sort of scandals, and this is a scandal, but issue, cat fight, whatever you want to call it, because all people are identifying with you right now is still that incident. I don't care. You ask most people, name the first thing that comes to your head when you think Britt McHenry, and maybe it would be hot blonde, but I think the second thing would probably be, oh, she was the one who yelled at that employee.
Or bought Twitter followers.
And that part I didn't know. But, yeah, and so Sarah Spain, then I don't think the whole going on a date to get a Super Bowl ticket is that big of a deal. I think that's showing ESPN, hey, I'll do anything it takes because I love the Chicago Bears so much, and they're recognizing that passion. And that's how I think a lot of women can break into the industry, by showing their passion for the sport, not necessarily their expertise if they didn't play the sport, by showing their passion for it.
Well, that's what I thought was a little funny, though, because Britt was, and I hate even sounding like I'm taking her side in this, but Britt is a former athlete and a female sports journalist. And part of the criticism, I guess, between Sarah and her is that Britt never wanted to work for ESPNW. And it's like, well, why should I go work for this platform when you stand on this soapbox of feminism? But clearly, between all of these separate instances, which there's several of her going back and forth with other women, why should I go to this platform and pretend that I'm for women and be like you? Because clearly you're not promoting the platform right as far as,
but I
guess, the overall message.
Yeah, I disagreed with Britt in the sense that she said, well, I didn't want to just be, slotted to working only in women's sports. That's the ESPNW. ESPNW is promoting women's sports. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're not slated forever to be in women's sports just because you write for ESPNW. I think it's great to then actually have your work admire something that a lot of people aren't admiring. So therefore you have original opinions and original takes on it because everybody else is covering all the other sports. So I guess in my personal view, she's looking at ESPNW completely wrong.
I sort of, again, I don't like this chick, but I sort of feel her, and that her response to that was, I didn't want to work, because as far as, popularity is concerned, men's sports is the most popular, and if you want to be a top echelon reporter, or journalistically, even on camera, off camera, writing, whatever you want to do, that's where you want to be, is you want to be covering the men's sports. And yes, women's sports need a bigger spotlight and all that, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, like, if you want to be the best of the best, you got to cover the best of the best when it comes to athletic competition. And that's not ESPN. I'd be surprised if ESPNW breaks even. Like, there's just not that much interest there's not as much interest in women's sports as there is with the NFL and other, MLB and all the other sports that Britt covered. So I sort of feel her in that regard.
But if to get your break into a business, if, let's say, to work for 1010XL, the general manager says, okay, I want you to cover women's high school basketball. I think most people at that point are going to say, okay, I need to prove myself to get into the business. I'm going to do this, and then when I show that I've done this well, I'm going to get to do other opportunities. That's kind of the way it works. So that's where I was thinking to myself, okay, Britt is just kind of getting on her high and mighty
But did
horse.
she do that? She did that through her...
No, she refused to work for ESPN.
Well, no, she already did that. She already covered the, sort of the lower... She did her job at the lower levels before moving up to ESPN, where Sarah did this little, I guess, publicity stuff well before, and wants to sort of call her out as far as anti-women when she's not. She just wants to cover the best of the best sports.
I don't think Sarah, at least I don't know that much about Sarah Spain other than now, she's a lot of times on when we are doing our show. so I don't really get to hear her. But from what I would understand, she didn't pull the Super Bowl stunt to get on ESPN, right? She
No.
pulled the Super Bowl stunt just to go to
She was
the
just a
Super
fan
Bowl.
at the time. I think she was working Chicago radio at the time that this happened. This was before she ever worked for ESPN.
So it's not like she was doing this to get to where she is. And everybody has a different path. And I think that's where it bothers me that they would go back and forth in this super public manner instead of, oh, I don't know, pick up the phone and call the person if you disagree with everything they're saying. Pick up the phone and talk to them and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling about this. And then they can give you their ideas. Versus going into just this Twitter battle where I think in the end, you both look worse for getting involved in it.
Sarah's the one that went back and like deleted all her tweets and sort of
probably
took it back.
Because ESPN was like, whoa, we can't have one of our employees engaging in this. You now work for a massive corporation, and we need to make sure that you're not making fun of employees who have been laid off.
Well, she has a little bit of a history doing this. I guess Jen Sturger, who was the chick who, if you don't remember, Brett Favre sent lewd photos to. Jen Sturger, I guess, went through a whole issue with that, and it was Sarah Spain who blamed Jen Sturger, said that she was doing it for the money, as far as, reporting that Brett Favre had done this inappropriate behavior. And it was, and Sarah Spain came after Jen Sturger and sort of victim blame. So it's kind of, it's a little funny to sort of stand back and see all of these things that Sarah Spain has done to her fellow female colleagues, and then wants to stand on the soapbox of feminism and why didn't you want to work for ESPNW?
That's why Twitter is only fun when you're having fun.
When Brian Coangelo is having fake Twitter accounts. That's
you
when
know,
it's fun.
I mean, this is why put your business out there, man. Why?
I was
Why
watching
be
this when it was
mean?
breaking, and I'm getting my popcorn ready. I'm like, ooh, this is about to be real good.
I want to talk about cotton candy hot dogs or something, you know?
Yeah, this kind of stuff, it makes me uncomfortable because I don't think anybody wins in the end. I guess that's my view of it is getting into this, not she said, but this, I'm better than you because I did it this way.
Right.
Or I'm better than you because,
look what I'm doing now.
Yeah, because
So,
I have this many followers or whatever, however they're feeling. It just, again, I'm going to go back to, for either of them, if you have things in your past that are going to come back to bite you when you get involved in these conversations, you end up looking worse for the wear. Now this whole Britt McHenry thing, I think, is revisited. Everyone who had forgotten maybe that she got into that awful argument and said, do you know who I am? Well, now they remember that. Everyone who had forgotten that Sarah Spain, wanted a Super Bowl date and would, do anything as long as she got to go to the game, they had brought that back up. So I just don't think that rehashing things that you were trying to make people forget by getting involved in one of these is a smart career
Don't
move.
throw stones if you live in a glass house. That's for both of them. Both of them suck. Both of them are terrible. But it was fun to watch either, regardless.
All right, we will get to Jameis Winston a little bit later. When we come back, though, we're going to talk to Ashlyn Sullivan, Jaguars.com digital reporter, and host and get a weekly dose of Daily's Place. I'm so excited about a new announcement that she's going to tell us about. So stay tuned for that. You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL. Lauren Brooks here, calling on the north side. Whether you're dreaming of a waterfront getaway or a more private preserve home, you must view Plummer Creek by Dream Finders Homes. Located close to historic Fernandina and Amelia Island, Plummer Creek offers you convenience of shopping and dining. Check out the incredible amenities, including a large outdoor kitchen, pool, and private kayak launch. Starting in the mid-200s, invest in a simpler and more private lifestyle at Plummer Creek. Dream Finders Homes, homes built to fit your lifestyle.
Who is it? You remember that Paige? The Paige chick, the golfer? Paige something. She got on the cover of a Golf Digest, I think. That was another one that I guess Sarah Spain came after.
Why?
Said that she really only got on the cover of the issue because she was showing her boobs, and it's like, well...
See, that's the double standard.
Right.
That's why, yeah.
That's why I can't stand her.
She goes back and forth, man.
And it was also, what is it, the Barstool thing when they had their show on for like one day. She was one of it was her and Sam Ponder that were the two women that went to ESPN management and said that they did not want them to have a show because they were misogynistic.
I don't know. It's like she picks and chooses. I don't know why.
She's a hack. You know, I can't stand her. There's so many women doing so many good things, and the chick on Good Morning Football, Kay Adams. She's my
Love
favorite
her, right?
woman
I like
working
her
in
too.
sports.
Love her. Love
The best.
her. She always looks fabulous.
Her opinions are on point. She's
Yep.
sassy too with
Yep.
them, and she talks about Lord of the Rings.
She is awesome.
Love her.
Although I disagreed when they all picked DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah, I know. That had to be a brain fart on their part. Had to have
You're
been.
the kind of person who prefers choices, and you're not sure who to choose as your realtor. The Sell the CC team has options. Sell your home for the most money in the shortest time. Get flexible fees.
I don't know what he said, but I like when they laugh.
What's
What?
important to you is
I like when opposing players laugh at each other.
Call and ask about your options and flexible fees.
Just, you know.
Was it the brothers, the Mariners and the Yankees have brothers that play for their
they?
respective teams, and they faced off against each other, I guess, for the first time last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was during one of the pitches that one of the brothers like punched his brother in the chest because the one brother is a catcher and the other
That's
brother's up to
cute.
bat. So he punches him in the chest. I thought that was cute.
See, I don't know how you still have a job. I don't know how Showalter still has a job or Sosha. I don't understand.
I can't help you there.
And he needs a haircut. That is
His neck's
way
got to
too
be
long.
so sweaty.
That is way too long. David Price.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, we always hear their, they do the countdown of, or not the countdown, but they keep track of how many home runs and for Judge and Stanton. I'm like, are you not seeing what Betts and Martinez are doing? No, nobody, no. All right, fine. But I like it because I've
Right.
learned the energy there for hatred is there.
What is this Dante Fowler tweet? Sixth man to MVP?
That would have been James Harden, maybe? This is the MVP last night.
Which Harden win MVP is a fucking crock.
I think that's what he's saying. Like, he would have been like the sixth man that he would pick to win MVP.
Bill Russell was awesome.
Oh, that was so great.
I mean,
I
As
was
someone
not
who was a
watching
fan
when I
of
saw
flipping
it.
off the camera, that was
did
class.
you hear what Barkley said?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I love it. And then he doubled down and like sent a tweet
Right?
including
Yeah.
the same give. I'm like, oh, I love when people double down and don't, sort of backtrack me like, oh, I'm sorry, kids might have seen it. No, fuck that. Here's another one.
Russell, man.
I'm
He's
surprised
old
you were
school.
watching live.
I wasn't.
Oh.
That was Twitter.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I didn't know. Maybe
No.
with Celtics. if-
Well, I follow him and it popped up. And I'm like, why is he trending? What happened?
Yeah. Okay. Then that's why I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, no way, that's so great. Oh. I follow him. One of these days, maybe I'll get a signed jersey. I keep retweeting because he keeps giving them away. He'll sign a jersey and he'll say, and
Oh
he'll-
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I've seen you. I think I've seen
I'm like,
you
come on, one of these days.
do that before.
Come on, Russell.
Alright, come back.
Talk
Did you
about-
call her?
Oh, Ashlyn?
Yeah.
Call her now.
Okay, thanks. No rush. Well, there's a rush, but don't stress.
641-1010. Share your opinion with 1010XL.
Helmets and heels. Built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
I'm trying to figure out if Tyler's sending us an extra meaning, waiting for the world to change, maybe on Twitter. Is that where you're going?
He wants all the
mentally?
women to get along.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, he doesn't know the song, maybe.
Is this not "Waiting on the World to Change" by John Mayer?
What's the big change on Twitter?
Well, like for people who've been fighting, you're hoping everybody
over
just
your
gets
head.
along.
It's
So over
He's
it.
still in Vegas. He doesn't know.
a little hungover here.
I understand.
Perfectly fine. All right, we're going to talk to Ashlyn Sullivan, Jaguars.com digital reporter and host here in just a minute. But a quick update on the college baseball World Series Finals Game 1, of course, rained out last night. It's going on right now as Oregon State has taken a lead 1-0 over Arkansas in the top of the third. But Arkansas does have a runner on first. It's an interesting series. I don't know how, I can't really remember ever a game in the finals being postponed to another night. Like maybe a rain delay here and there in some baseball, but I don't ever remember a game getting shifted to an entirely different day because of weather. Now, granted,
I mean, we've seen golf.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So yeah, but in the majors,
500,
I can't really remember. But yeah, you're right. The 500.
The 500 did it.
Yeah, that's true. They always shift to Monday.
Yep.
But yeah. So that game is going on, and we'll keep you updated throughout the show. As now we welcome in Ashlyn Sullivan. Hello, Ashlyn. How are you tonight?
I'm well. How are you guys?
We are fantastic, thanks. A dose of Daly's Place, as always. So there's a little Jaguars twist to it. Lorente McCray got to meet Logic and gave him a little present, right?
They did, yeah. They've been working just because they are so close together. The team, our team, has been working on tagging the Jaguars with Daly's Place acts, and it turns out that Logic was a huge Jaguars fan and really appreciate the jersey. So that's going to be coming more. You'll see that more often where there'll be Jaguars players at the concerts, backstage, give them some Jaguars gear, and meeting the acts, and kind of just tying the two together because they are so close. I'm surprised it's taken this long to tie the two together, but that's definitely going to be coming soon.
I was going to ask, I mean, you have 3 concerts coming up, boom, 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 right in a row. So are we expected to see, you know, all the groups be holding up Jaguar jerseys?
They definitely probably will be holding up Jaguars jerseys, especially against Chuck fans because of the Jacksonville tie. I'm not sure if a player will be involved just because most of the players are out traveling or home with their families at this time. But during the season, that'll be a lot easier to tie in those players when they're here.
Ashlyn, a recent Forbes article said that Daly's Place brought in $12.2 million to the Jack's economy in ticket sales. How do you think that makes an impact on the community itself?
I think it does exactly what Daly's Place was meant to do, and that's to drive economy, drive attention towards Jacksonville. I think it's exactly what Sean Conn wanted to do when he built Daly's Place, is make Jacksonville a fun area to go to and bring people around the stadium and bring attention to the Jaguars. So it definitely shows with that number that it's paying off. And if you think $12.2 million in the first year, it can only grow in the second year. So I think it's accomplishing exactly what it was meant to do.
All right, Ashlyn, as you know, I'm a huge country fan. So when you emailed me today that there will be a show leading up to the Texans home game, and it will be country, I got really excited. Do you want to tell everybody who is coming to Daly's Place?
Yes, Brett Eldridge, and knowing how successful country concerts are in Daly's Place, and we'll be really excited for that. And it's what we talked about for a long time, getting concerts the night before a big Jag team, bringing people to Daly's Place the night before and getting people excited just for the weekend as a whole. So I think it'll be really cool, especially with the Texans coming to town, bringing a country act in. I think it'll be a very fun weekend and doing exactly what they've been trying to do.
Yeah, and after this got announced, I was starting to think, okay, so you got a couple games now. So how many more games? Do you want them all, the home games, to have a concert?
I think it'd be kind of lofty to get all of them covered, and I know they don't want to take away from the football as a whole, but I know they've got a few booked now. I'm sure they're going to be working on a few more, but I wouldn't say every home game, but I know they're working on kind of making that and trying to maybe make it a once-a-month type of thing.
What about it? And y'all might not have an answer to this quite yet, but during the Jaguar season last year, Daly's Place was broadcasting the games, the actual game that was going on inside of Daly's Place. Do you guys have plans to do that again this year, or are you going to change it up a little bit? What do you know that sort of, I guess, the plan?
I know that they had one concert as of now planned to do so. I know there was a little questioning about parking and maybe bringing too many people into that area at once. I know they were trying to get that cleared with police and parking and all the people that work at the stadium. I think it's a cool idea, but I know that there were still a few kinks that need to be worked out before that came locked in.
All right, Ashlyn, you got to interview quarterback Blake Bortles at his charity golf tournament. What was the big takeaway from talking to Blake?
The big takeaway from Blake was how excited he was to get back to football. He said how successful he thought OTAs and minicamp were for him, how it was so nice to work under Nathaniel Hackett for the second season and really just get comfortable with that system. He said he's going to be in California for the next few weeks working with his trainer, really getting the mechanics right. And then he said when he comes back, it's ready to go. And he said he hopes everyone else is ready. He said he will definitely be ready.
What is your week like this week, by the way, with nobody there?
Yeah, it's a little weird. The rookies are actually still in the building. Tomorrow we will go to a middle school where the rookies will host a youth football camp. So there's still some community stuff going on, but it's definitely a lot more quiet. It's something to get used to, but I know in about 5 weeks that'll change.
That was going to be my follow-up question. So what is it that you will be working on over the next month and a half?
Over the next month and a half, we're really sketching out our season plan and our weekly plan for our content series. We're starting a new show called Jaguars Drive Time in the morning, then happy hour in the afternoon, which is 2 hours of live content every day for the Jaguars. So we're really working out all the kinks of those live shows because that is a lot of content every day. So we're trying to get segment ideas and really lock that down, and that will start the week of training camp. So we're starting to get our week all laid out.
Will you guys be like Kathy Lee and Hoda with the drinks on the table in front of you during the happy hour show?
I said that. We couldn't do it. They said it would be copying them too much. Which
Dang it.
We have to come up with our new idea.
It can be a beer instead of a glass of white wine.
It could. That's a good. I'll come back tomorrow with that.
Yeah, you know what beer it could be, of course. The Miles Jack Wasn't Down beer.
Oh, of course. Have to play that up.
Absolutely. All right, Ashlyn, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Of course, not a problem. Have a good week, guys.
Yes, we will talk to you next week. That is Ashlyn Sullivan, Jaguars.com digital reporter and host. I know it has to be a weird feeling when most of the players, I forgot about the rookies because they do have that youth football camp tomorrow, which is awesome. But with most people out of the building, it's always like, man, I as much as I don't want the season to quite be here yet, I still want there to be activity and
Like
exciting
the calm
stuff
before
going
the
on.
storm.
Yeah, but hearing how much they have to plan, that is certainly a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tyler, speaking of planning, do you have a song planned for tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel giveaway? Not yet. All right, he's going to work on that. When it comes to the Peterbrook Chocolate Heels, how amazing is it that the supply is never ending? Because we've been giving them away for a few years now, and the supply is never ending.
We have, and I always have to give them an update. Be like, hey, we're gonna need some more for this season. Hey, we're gonna need some more for next month.
It's
hey,
awesome.
And I love it when the people come in to collect their prizes because usually I'm on front helping them out. And my first question is, where are you going? Like, are you going home?
That's smart.
Are you going to work? I kind of need to know. They're like, I was going to go run and shop. I go, nope.
They think you're super creepy.
I go, nope, because it's going to melt in like 5 minutes. It'll probably melt from walking out the door to your car with how hot it's been. So
yeah.
I always give them a heads
full
up.
chocolate. There is nothing other than chocolate.
Nothing. And I'm sorry, coolers do not come with it. So yes, you need to, if you are planning on coming to collect your heel, you need to know that you're going somewhere that's air conditioned or has a fridge.
That's a very good point.
So I try.
All right, take it away, DJ. As always, you can win tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel by texting into the 1010XL text line driven by Duval, Ford 641-1010. Either get the name of the artist or the name of the song. The first person does win tonight's totally meltable Peterbrook
Totally
Chocolate
meltable.
Heel.
Really, really good.
Good job, Tyler.
We do have dark chocolate and milk chocolate, by the way.
Very nice.
Milk.
Blythe, I know you listen to Country Some. Are you familiar with Brett Eldredge?
Oh, yeah. I saw him when he played at the fair.
Okay.
One of the free country concerts.
Yeah, and then do you know who Devin Dawson is?
No.
Have you heard that song All on Me?
Mm-mm. I don't know the other Abby Anderson either.
And I don't know who Abby Anderson is either, so I'm going to have to look her up. But Devin Dawson has at least one song I know I've heard of. And then, yeah, Brett Eldredge is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I was really sad I had to miss the Friday night, this past Friday night, the show at the arena with Luke Bryan and Morgan Wallen, because I really wanted to see Morgan Wallen. But then I got really jealous when I saw that Blake at his foundation event Sunday night had John Party perform.
Oh, he's perfect.
I know.
He's such a great act. Like I'm not a huge fan of like modern pop country just because it all sounds the same and it's sort of all written by, the same three guys in Nashville. But John Party to me is one of the bright shining lights as far as up and coming artists. I don't even know if he's really considered up and coming anymore. I think he's here.
Yeah, I would think so too. But he's somewhat newer, absolutely. And I saw a video from both my friend Robbie, who works at Carrabba's, and then our friend Jen, who works for Dreamfinders. Both of them were there, and they were very close. And I was like, how did I not know? I saw the release that some other people would be playing. I forget the name of the woman that they released would be playing. I had not heard of her, but they never said anything about John Party. Almost they knew they had
I think
to
Blake
keep it
and him
quiet.
are friends.
I would think so, because I know he performed there like 3 years ago now at I think the very first golf tournament.
And Blake went out to like the Clay County Fair or something to also watch him, or maybe that was somebody. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
That
Sam
was
Hunt.
Sam Hunt.
Sam
yeah.
Hunt.
Because a lot of people think that Blake looks like Sam Hunt, but regardless, a lot going on at Daly's Place, and you tonight were given something that is significant to Daly's Place.
Yeah, the Jacksonville Shrimp sent over this little Ronnie Van Zant, little bobblehead guy, and I guess it was to commemorate. They had an appreciation, a Ronnie Van Zant appreciation night back on June 16th. Haven't been in the 1010 offices in a couple weeks, so
Nope.
I guess I missed that game. But they said as Leonard Skinner heads towards their final concert later this year, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are bringing it back to where it all began, the baseball field. The seeds of Skinner were sown when Ronnie Van Zant line drive knocked an opposing team's third baseman unconscious during a baseball game at Jacksonville's Criswell Park. That third baseman turned out to be drummer by the name of Bob Burns. After checking on Bob later that day with Gary Rosington, the trio decided to form a band, and the rest is rock and roll history.
Love it. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk ghost relationship rules, and I promised you we would get to Jameis Winston. That is all coming up next. You'll see the Helmets and Heels built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL.
That's got it. I didn't read the whole thing. I was like, Ronnie Van Zant, whatever.
I heard them talking about it yesterday. Did you watch?
They talk about
Frangie and them, you guys,
Okay.
about McCartney. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
It was fantastic.
Did you see the McCartney with James Corden?
The carpool karaoke?
Yeah, but the 20-minute
Paul
long.
McCartney?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I saw it on like Friday. Dan Hicken tweeted out something like worth your watch if you have time or whatever, and so I started it then, and then I had to come.
Forget it's like 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, I was like, I'm not going to need to watch all of it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is great, so I had to go back and finish it later, because it was fantastic.
I mean, him in his old home, and then him at the pub. It was just.
I know.
It was so awesome. So
And I was obsessed with the Beatles. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
literally obsessed with the Beatles for a while. So, like, it was awesome.
See, that's why I found it so interesting, because usually you're either an Elvis fan or you're a Beatles fan. It's rare if you're both.
Interesting.
You know,
Okay.
it's
Huh?
you kind of really
Really?
don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, like Die Hard. Like, you think either Elvis is the best or you think the Beatles. It was never the same. Like, my mom likes them.
See, I don't
both,
think either of them are the best.
But well, then that's your opinion.
Yeah. Michael
But-
Jackson, I think.
And I loved it. I was like, you know, I was sitting there
was
watching it going, this is so fantastic. There's so much appreciation. And, that's why this morning I was telling Frank about, and I sent him Tom's Cruise.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. I didn't watch the video, but I saw your tweet.
It's hilarious. He rents out a boat and he puts Tom's face all over it. It's Tom's Cruise. And then each room is his movie. So there's a
Okay.
Mission Impossible
Oh, that's
room.
cool.
He had the bar area was cocktail, and he
Yeah.
had him making cocktails for everybody. At the end, he's dressing up, obviously, in no, he was dressed as Navy, and they started
Top
singing
Gun.
together. You
Oh,
know?
I love it.
Oh, it was great. I'm like, stuff like this. I'm like, you gotta watch. He does the thing with Cher, and it's gross.
He has a new Mission Impossible movie coming out again, where he does all his own stunts again. I'm like, how old is he that he's still doing all of his own stunts? The movie looks really good.
He's got to be like 50, I would think.
He's got to be pushing
may-
60.
He may be a whack job, but
You got to be a little crazy, I think, in order to be a good actor.
it is. It's rare
Like
to
Mel
find.
Gibson is a little nuts,
Yeah.
a lot nuts, but he's a brilliant actor.
But it's rare to find a movie of his that isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, like Night and Day. I couldn't make 10 minutes into that because that was
I never saw that.
Don't waste your time. that was bad. But Jack Reacher, I love those movies. I'm like, yeah.
You'll think this is funny. What he's learned about the World Cup so far. Lying on the ground, pretending that
That's
he's hurt.
funny. I enjoy that.
That is funny.
How about Bublé gonna be on the?
How about what?
Bublé getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
You switched from World Cup to Bublé, so I was like,
Bublé.
is there
I'm like, who's
is there a
Bublé getting?
soccer player named
Bublé.
Boob something?
He'll be at Daly's Place next year. You watch. I will be
Isn't he
front
too
and
big?
center.
Well, wouldn't he be the arena?
Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. Last time he was
okay.
here, he did the Florida Theater. He likes the intimate.
Okay.
He does small.
Does he sell out places like the arena?
All right, back here,
Really?
30.
Oh, arenas? He doesn't. The only time he did Madison Square,
Yeah, that's definitely
What?
arena.
but he likes the intimate setting. Yeah.
Oh, I went when Freebird was still Freebird. I saw Kenny Chesney there. It was like 400 people.
It's awesome.
Did you see this story about the softball player who died of ovarian cancer?
Jesus.
Visit sellingwithcc.com.
Jaguars football by women, for women, and men. Helmets and heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. It is not Halloween time, but I can still tell a fun ghost story. Wonderful Cardinals, Carlos Martinez. Once I saw this come across the news a couple days ago, I really thought that it was going to be at the Vinoy down in Tampa. But it wasn't. Carlos Martinez claimed that there was a ghost in his hotel room. Now, the pitcher posted a video of himself talking about it and everything like this, and spoke about, what happened and how he feels there's a presence in this. It's called the Pfister Hotel.
The what?
Excuse me.
Hotel?
Pfister Hotel, Pfister in Milwaukee.
And this actually hotel is known to it has a history of hauntings. And so watching it was a lot of fun. Kind of hard to listen to. It's better to read the story because it's a rough translation. But he talks about how he can't sleep alone, and there's I know there's a ghost in my room. But this isn't the only MLB player to ever say this. Players have been coming out about ghost stories for years, and the Vinoy, to me, in Tampa, is the #1 top spot. It is where all of the traveling teams will stay when they play the Rays. It's where I know every time when my parents go down there, they sit in the bar because they know all the Red Sox players are coming this way, so they're just going to plop themselves at the Vinoy. But I grew up. Oh my gosh, no! I started watching the show Ghost Hunters, which was on Sci-Fi.
My mother watches that show.
Yeah, well, it's over. It was 15 years. It's over now. But I loved it because it's when we lived in Rhode Island, and they were based out of Rhode Island, right in the same little city. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. They're right down the street. I'm gonna watch this. And they went to the Vinoy, and they caught some creepy stuff. I have to say, because I rewatched it once I read this story, and I'm like, oh man, because even the Dodgers have come out and claimed stories. The Sox have come out and claimed stories.
What kind of stories are we talking about here?
Sounds in their room. They hear kids in the hallway when there's nobody around, and it's a lot centered on, I want to say, the 5th floor. And a lot of players have refused to stay. I'm not staying on the 5th floor. You put me somewhere else. So you could Google. There's so many MLB stories about ghosts in the hotel room. So my question to you, if you knew a place, like if you had to go to Tampa, say the Super Bowl's there, and you're staying at the Vinoy, there's all these claims. Are you staying, at the Vinoy, or are you refusing to be on the 5th floor?
I would probably stay there. I wouldn't stay. The only place I would draw the line, because I actually used to live in a place that was haunted. They used to have, psychics would give tours of. I lived at a bed and breakfast in North Carolina, a small town, Monte Vista, or Black Mountain, North Carolina. There's a little bed and breakfast called the Monte Vista, and there were psychic tours to tourists. that were given at the, I'd have to walk by them with like groceries and walk up to my room. But they wouldn't, the psychic would never go on the 3rd floor, which is where I lived. And I always thought that was super creepy. We had a couple incidents that happened, but I don't think that staying at a ghost haunted like hotel would bother me. The only place that I would sort of like draw the line is like those like old like mental hospitals that are abandoned. I would never ever.
Old penitentiaries.
Yeah, I would never go there.
Like you would stay at the Stanley Hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the one place I think I would not stay.
Why?
I mean, Stephen King created that movie for a reason.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he stayed
I thought you were
there.
just naming like a random hotel.
No, the Stanley Hotel where
The Shining.
The Shining, thank you.
Oh,
where it's created. There's a reason why that was made.
I mean, I would probably visit it, but I probably wouldn't stay there.
I would not. I could.
It makes me cry. Like
that's
ghost
the only
stories.
place.
Mm-mm. Yeah, not a chance. I'm not staying in the hotel.
No?
No, I'm not staying next to the hotel. No.
Do y'all believe in ghosts?
I do.
Not necessarily, but it would freak me out enough that, like, I love to get my sleep, and I know that I would not sleep as well. Like, I know it would wake me up. Even now, like, if I know I have to wake up super early, I don't sleep as well the night before because I'm afraid that I'm going to oversleep. And even though I know I have 5 alarm clocks, I have 1. But I know I'm not going to oversleep. I wake up early. But yet I still don't sleep as well. So knowing I'd be terrified just in case I overheard something or, something freaked me out, no, I would not stay.
I feel like it's more in your head.
Yeah.
If you know all the stories. Right.
Yeah. Like Bryce Harper, for instance, at this hotel in Milwaukee, said that he remembers laying the clothes at the foot of his bed, and then when he woke up the next morning, his clothes were across the room. Well, I kind of shrugged that off as you might have kicked the clothes off your bed in the middle of the night. You might have had a bad dream.
Unless it was 2 beds.
I don't think so. I think, at least the way he described it, it sounded like he had 1. And then there were several other players who said stuff was weird with electronics. Yep. One, like the music wasn't playing when he got in the shower. Then while he was in the shower, the music started playing on his iPod. Then another one said the TV turned on twice overnight. So those kinds of things, right? Like, I might not, if I was in any other hotel and the TV turned on, I'd be like, okay, faulty electronics. I'd turn it off and I'd go back to sleep. But if I knew, I would be scared out of my mind and I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep.
Well, see, we had
terrible the next day.
One instance where my ex-boyfriend, or my boyfriend at the time, he had like one of those old like Dr. Grit pens with like the mushy like writing area or whatever, like really nice pens, and he would always keep it on the nightstand next to the bed, and always, I mean, for years he kept this pen, this specific pen, and then one day it went missing. He's like, oh, have you seen my pen? I was like, no, I haven't seen it. I don't mess with it. And we looked under the bed, looked around the nightstand, couldn't find it. So a few days later, I opened up one of the closet doors, and behind the closet door is the pen, but it's completely disassembled. Like, it's taken apart, like the grit part of the pen is taken off. The whole pen itself is disassembled, and it didn't put really 2 and 2 together until it was like a couple months later that I talked to one of the psychics who was giving another tour, and I was like, tell me a little bit about what goes on. Why don't you go to the 3rd floor? And she's like, oh, well, there's a lot of activity up there, particularly 2 children that play in or around. And I told her what room, and she's like, yeah, it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. But she said, and that's what I put 2 and 2 together. There was probably a ghost kid that found the pen and was playing with it, and that's how it ended up, because there's really no other explanation as to why a pen would be disassembled and behind a closet door.
See, I love stories like that. I love it. I love it. Little man had a field trip last week to the St. Augustine Lighthouse. And I'm like, oh, and I know with my Ghost Hunter show, because they've been there twice and they've caught stuff twice. I'm like, oh, so how'd it go? Obviously it's not during the night. He's like, I didn't, he didn't walk up all the way. He only walked up halfway. I was like, oh, so you didn't see the friendly ghost? He's like, there's a friendly ghost? I go, yeah, next time you got to walk all the way up so you can see the ghost.
Yeah, Hayes was saying how people he used to work with at the St. Augustine Record had been up in the lighthouse at night after events and putting stuff away, and they said they experienced, just.
I would love to do
the old the old homestead, which is now Taco Lou. Right. That's like famously haunted. Yeah. I knew a lot of people who worked there when it was still the homestead, and they talked about stories all the time.
That would be so much fun.
Which I haven't heard any of those stories now that it's Taco Lou. So, did the ghost follow to the new homestead, which is on Penman, right near my house? Because if so, I would like to make sure I don't hear anything about any activity going on.
Well, how about some rules? Everyone here, we're all in relationships, correct?
You too, Tyler? That would be breaking
back
news.
back from Vegas.
I have no breaking news.
Hopefully not back from Vegas. Hopefully you weren't in a relationship in Vegas.
So we loved this story that came across our emails about what are the rules to certain relationships, and how do you deal with the opposite sex at their job, stuff like that. So, for instance, is it okay for a married woman or man to take a professional meeting with a member of the opposite sex? So how would you feel with your significant other meeting a woman at his job?
I would
just
have
a
no
one-on-one.
issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's funny. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay.
I know. I find this topic ridiculous, but in the sense of there's no issues here, is what I mean.
Well, I think it depends on the person in the couple's relationship and the trust level. If either one has ever given the other one a reason not to trust them, then you are talking about maybe needing to set some boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, let's say it may not be your significant other, but it may be someone you've heard stories about that person needs to meet up with, ride in a car with, what have you. Well, then that can give you pause, because if you don't trust the other person, it may not have anything to do with your person, your significant other. But I think rules can be tricky, because that's kind of boxing someone into a corner, and you almost should create just more dialogue. Like, hey, I need to have a meeting with so-and-so tomorrow, just the two of us. Is that going to be okay with you? And if that person has no issues, you move right along. But if you create a rule saying you absolutely cannot meet with that person, and then all of a sudden for your job, that has to happen, then you're kind of left with lying to the person or possibly hurting your professional career.
See, I wouldn't even ask permission. I would just be, I had lunch with so-and-so today.
Right.
It would just be a topic of conversation, but I wouldn't ask for permission.
Well, and the three of us, I feel like, are in a different position than most women would be, because we work at a job that is obviously centered with men.
Right.
There's nowhere
male-dominated.
we can go where there is not a man. Yes, and that's who we're dealing with every day. But I just don't see anything wrong with it. Like with my husband, he goes, when he goes out to sea, I mean, his ship now is a co-ed ship. What am I going to say? I got no problem with it, obviously, but what am I going to be like? Oh, well, who's in your work center, or who's it? Like, I got no issues with that, because why would he have issues with what I do here? It's the same thing. I don't see how you can have a relationship be healthy and have rules like, I don't want you driving in a car with a guy.
Yeah, different question. If you're the guy in the relationship and the female, let's say like the job that I used to have, Amanda and Jessica used to have, going into the locker room for the Jaguars. If you're the guy and that was your girlfriend, wife's job, how would you feel about that? Which is still a professional environment, but obviously completely different than just going to a lunch meeting.
I mean, just how I know my husband feels, like, proud. Like, that's awesome. That is so cool you get to do that. Like, that's how you should feel. Not like, if you feel the exact opposite, then something's wrong with you.
Right.
You're
more
got
insecure.
some issues. Yeah.
Because I remember I had an ex that was upset when I gave my business card to someone who was interested in learning about my company. And he said, "Oh, that's technically giving your number out to someone." I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Right.
Like, and that definitely just screams insecurity to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I used to go in the locker room, Brian would just be like, "So did you see anything today?" And I'd be like, "I'm not talking about it. Let's just move right along."
You learn how to keep your eyes up,
Correct.
and you kind of know where your feet are.
Eye contact.
And so I would tell him stories like, I know the very first guy I had to interview was Prince Amukamara, and I'm nervous as all get out, right? Like, just because I had never interviewed a player when they're basically,
naked.
half naked, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't completely naked, but half naked. And it was the first time I'd used the recorder, and even though I tested it, of course something went wrong in using it. So I have to go back to him the next day, and I'm like, "Hey, so that whole interview that we did, I'm sorry, but I can't play that. I need to interview you again." And since I've learned, I should have just gone to another player, and he would have had no idea, and I just should have gone back to him later. But I didn't know. And so he kind of looked at me, and he was like, "You have to tell me who you're voting for in this presidential election, and then I'll do the interview."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't really want to go down this road. I really
Right?
just need a quick, another 2-minute interview
Nope,
with you.
going the other way.
Yeah, so he did the interview and it was fine. And we did not discuss politics, which I think is the right way to go about it.
Right.
But I do think that there are couples who maybe that works better for them, is having, some boundaries, especially, like I said, if there were issues in the past, then maybe, like, let's say that
If there was issues in the past, and
well,
you can't get past them.
but no, let's say that
Then
the
you
woman
shouldn't be
had
together.
been cheated on by a previous
okay, I got
nothing
you.
to do.
I got you.
has nothing to do with the current person.
Well, then that's still your
But
issue.
Yeah.
You gotta
it
work
is your
out.
issue, but if it makes you feel better and if it works for both people to say, okay, I would rather you, not ride in a car with the opposite sex. As a guy, I'd just rather you not ride in a car with a female by yourselves. That just would make me feel more comfortable. Don't you think that if that's, what makes your significant other happy, don't you think you can at least, try that? No?
I would
like
feel
I'm-
totally embarrassed if I had to explain that situation to someone.
Yeah, I'd be like, I don't understand.
I'm
what the
sorry, I'm not
problem
allowed to
is.
ride in a car with you. We have to have one more person in this car because I'm not allowed to ride with another male. Give me a.
I mean, a car. I would never have been allowed to go on the Super Bowl trips with Dempsey. Dang,
I,
you
well,
know.
I
You
do
would
think
not
that there
have.
is a little
Never.
bit of a difference, though, if it's a professional meeting or if it's possibly, going to lunch regularly
Right.
with a member of the. I do think that that's a little bit of a line that you want to kind of tread lightly on.
Well, so Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman came out today with their article of their secret of what they think keeps, a happy marriage. And she went on about how they never text each other. They call it. There's
I think it's
some
just their
Hollywood
age.
people are so
They're just-
weird.
they're
They call
older.
it, instead of like face to face, they call it skin to skin. That's how we do things. That's what she says. They never text each other because text messages can come across wrong, which I understand.
That part is true.
But it's your husband. How is he going to take you saying, yes, honey, love you, bye? How is that in
That's what
misinterpreted?
emojis and gifts are for.
I mean, I think if they're saying like we've never texted, I don't know if I believe that.
She says they never text.
Yeah, I think it's more believable to say we only text, in
Right.
very short
Like if he's on the
sentences or-
road or something.
Yeah, if it's something really quick but never anything that could be taken in the wrong way. I think that makes way more sense. All right, when we come back, Nim Shapiro is going to join us of Aqua Swim School. Nim has a fantastic story about how he created this business and why he created it, and he brought it to the First Coast just a few months ago. We are going to chat with him, a 2-time Olympian. That is next on Helmets and Heels, built by Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Talking teal.
Sorry.
Versus texting.
Jaguars today.
From the Jacksonville
Oh, man.
Tech Studios at TIAA Bank Field.
Yeah. How can you take a text message wrong from your
Right, you should know her
significant other?
mannerisms and
Right.
tones and.
Talk about being having a low self-esteem. Like when you read it, she's like, I have to ask people, can you interpret this, please? Why are you reading into it? It's a, oh.
Nim, this is Donna Nim.
Hello.
And
So
Brad.
nice to meet you.
Hi, nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you
It
too.
would help if we had a chair.
So you
Yeah,
have-
sorry, I took
you
your
have,
chair. That was over
We have
there.
bleachers.
pictures in the
Yeah.
office?
They're not used very often, truth be told.
Seriously?
Yeah, we don't really have a lot of people coming here. You can tell me
Good.
right here. I'm gonna,
Right
yeah, I'm gonna, right here. I'm gonna make sure your microphone is good for your height. Did we get a?
Where are you from?
Israel, originally,
Israel.
but I moved out of Israel when I was 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
To
Holy
England
crap.
in the beginning, and then England, Florida, Arizona, Michigan. Now I'm back to Florida.
Nice.
Yeah.
You probably didn't want to deal with the cold.
I was just.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially with swim.
Exactly. You get out of the pool and it's snowing
Oh,
outside.
yikes.
Nope.
Forget that. And it's snowing in June. I lived in Michigan for a hot second, and it
Where
snowed in June.
Where in Michigan?
Detroit, Sterling Heights, just right outside of
Okay.
Detroit.
Yeah.
I lived around. What is it? They do the hand thing.
Yeah.
So it's like here, I think.
Yeah, we have. I have 5 swim facilities in Michigan.
Oh,
so
wow.
West Bloomfield, Southfield, Waterford, all in that area.
Nice, awesome. Holy
Yeah.
crap! How many? Well, I guess we can. I'll wait to ask my questions until we get on the air.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place that you've lived in?
Florida.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. People, weather, you have a lot to do here. Like you have the beach, you have the lakes, you have the rivers. It's fun.
That's awesome.
And I like biking, so it's a really good place to bike. Michigan is horrible.
Well, yeah.
We have potholes everywhere, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
So Florida.
Is this your playoff beard?
Actually, so no, in swimming, so we have a tradition. In swimming, you don't shave during.
Yeah, sorry. That's
They
why
do
that
that.
chair's over there and not over there.
You don't shave during the season. Maybe I ate too much in
No.
You don't shave during the season, and you shave only for the championship meet. So I haven't shaved for like 5 months until we opened the building.
Wow.
But
So
it's itchy.
I made the same tradition. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna shave until we open the building.
I like it.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
So
That's awesome.
So when do you get to shave?
probably 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
I think by the end of July we done.
Good.
Yeah, the pool is done, the outside is done, everything is done. It's just the next few days we painting. So and then new windows we wait.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Almost
I
there.
feel weird. I'm like, look at it.
Yeah,
all of you
do you
like
want a
this.
different
Usually
chair?
I look at everyone like.
That's true.
I
"Oh,
took
wow."
the chair that was over there. Sorry, because I was not sitting in a
Here, try
comfortable
this
chair.
one.
I
don't know
this
how we
one
have
will
so
not
many.
give up on me. As I'm
We'll leave
talking.
it here. That's what happens as you go. And you can adjust this up, down, whatever.
You mean as I go
whatever's
down?
comfortable for you, just as long as you're.
I'm dressed for your interview today. We were supposed to have swim class tonight for my 5-year-old.
Where do you do your swim?
He's in swim class in
Where?
Nocatee.
Nocatee? What's the program over there?
It's their own. It's their own Red Cross.
Is it like at the community pool? Like that?
Yep.
Right.
But then, of course, the rain and thunder came. So.
Oh
Yeah.
Mm.
So our
Which at first I thought
facility-
that was part of your dress.
Yeah, our
No.
facility is gonna be indoor. So
Yeah.
thunders is gonna stop you anyways. but
Right.
Rain is not.
Yeah. Rain would have been fine. I was being more selfish. I wanted to swim.
Yeah.
I'm like.
I feel you. Here, and that's
Yeah.
the beautiful thing in Florida. Here it's hot, and you just want to get in the pool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you ever swim in the ocean?
Yes, I love swimming in the ocean. Yeah. It's different, and it's different environment. And I actually, when I was in my early 20s, after my first Olympic Games, I almost drowned in the ocean again. So I drowned when I was 7. And then I went to the ocean and we swam at night, but then the currents started happening. It took me easily 2 hours to get back to shore. Me and my friend were in the water and we were just like, both of us Olympians, and we were like, we can't get back to the shore. So we were...
American Window Products on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, built by Dream Finders Homes. One segment to go, and we have a special guest for our final few minutes here, Nim Shapira from Aqua Swim School. Nim, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
As long as your chair doesn't deflate one more
Yeah, I
time.
keep falling down. But
We have like 17 chairs in the
Yes.
studio, but only
I think
only
I
a
just
few of
ate
them
too
work.
much in dinner.
And that is possible. All right, so tell us the story of how you started Aqua Swim School.
So it's a very long story. I started swimming at age of 7. I actually drowned, and that's how I got into the sport. My neighbor was a swim instructor, and I fell in love with the sport. I became competitive only later in my life, around the age of 11. And then I moved from Israel all the way to England, from England to Florida, here to the Ball School, from Ballston, Arizona. And when I graduated University of Arizona, I decided I want to give back to the sport that gave me so much. So I decided to start giving swim lessons, and it started growing more than I expected, and my passion to the sport of swimming just never changed, so I stuck with it. And
You say you drowned at the age of 7, but obviously you're still alive. So explain how that exactly works.
Not all drownings are deadly. I passed out in my drowning and I got CPR. My ankle saved me. It was in a birthday party.
Wow.
A lot of people were around, but only one person jumped in the water to save me. I'm not sure if I was the favorite or not, but I was saved. Obviously I'm not alive, but I didn't know how to swim. I didn't know how to get to the edge of the pool, and I drowned all the way to the bottom of the pool. And that's where my passion to swimming actually started, because I was really shocked, but my parents insisted on getting me to swim lessons the next day.
I have a 5-year-old who has been in swim lessons the past 2 summers. What do you think is the most important part of the lesson? For instance, whether it's learning how to, they say starfish, learning how to float, or learning the scoops. What do you think is the most important?
The
scoops.
The scoops. It's called freestyle.
The scoops, baby.
So this is the unique thing about me and my passion with our swim program. We have 5 of our locations in Michigan, but we teach swim lessons all the way to swim team, to competitive swimmers, and our curriculum is actually teaching your kids how to swim. A lot of program, ISR, different approaches, they teach you how to float, but they still call themselves swim school. So I'm not putting anyone under the bus, but we really care. All of my staff are very professional. They are certified coaches, and we're teaching the kids how to swim. They know all 4 strokes. I have state champions in Michigan, and we'll have swimmers here in your son's age, 5 years old, so they can swim all 4 strokes already at that age. So that's my unique approach to it, is to teach them how to swim the strokes of swimming: freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, and breaststroke, in their own progress. Every kid have their own progress. But floating is only the beginning, and we have 9 levels, and you go from each level to the next with your own progress.
You said you've come close to drowning, or you've drowned twice in your lifetime. A lot of people would be scared to get back into the water after 1 time. What sort of drove you to get back into the water after 2 times?
So the first time happened when I was 7 years old, and that was the bad one. And my parents insisted. I didn't make a decision at that age, but they insisted to get me into swim lessons the next day, and just to get me over that bad experience and the trauma. The second time happened after my first Olympic Games. I didn't drown, but I struggled. I went with my friend, another Olympian, to the ocean, and we were there at night, and we swam, and we thought we were Olympians, we can do whatever. And the environment, you can't control the environment, and that's something that parents need to understand. Even if you know how to swim, and that's what I share with all of our families, even if you know how to swim and you're an Olympian, if the environment changes, you need to know what to do. And it took us close to 2 hours to get back to shore, because the currents just kept us in deep sea.
It was a riptide?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was very scary. And my dad, I'm in my early 20s, and my father tells me, be careful, and he thinks you know everything, and you're an Olympian swimmer. And that's when you learn, all right, you better listen to your parents. So I think after my second drowning, it took 2 drownings, almost, or 2 really bad experiences to wake up and say, all right, there are certain things, and that's where I really decided and started forming the idea of I want to give back to the sport, and from my bad experience and trauma, educate kids and parents.
Nice.
So what's the youngest that you'll take kids and start them in the program?
For us, for our program, it's 2 months old. And it's a swim lesson with the parents. It's a really fun activity, but I think for all swimmers, for all kids, no matter what city or with our program or other programs, the earlier that you start, the better. The kids get really accustomed, and they learn how to be safer. You can never be safe enough, but they learn how to be safer in their environment of the water. And there are actually research that show that kids that get into swim lessons under 6 months old develop their brain develops quicker. The biggest cause of death for kids under 5 years old in the United States is drowning.
Oh, wow.
So when parents tell me they want to wait until their kids is 4 and 5, it's really important for me to educate them. You gotta know that this is actually a big problem. It happened to me once really bad, and the second time after I've been an Olympic swimmer. So the earlier the better.
So are you for or against, because I've seen a lot of people be against, especially since I've had him in swim class, floaties?
Oh, against, totally. Yeah. It's teaching bad habits. You thinking you're teaching your kid or your kid can float, but what happened in their environment that your kid is not next to you, and they got used to floaties, and kids get everywhere, and they'll find their way to get to the pool, and they fall to the pool, and they're used to have floaties. All of a sudden, their environment changed. They don't have the floaties. they cannot swim or float to save themselves. So floaties is actually a big problem for teaching how to swim. Any kind of floating device. The kids really need to learn how to thread water and float themselves, and then even floating is not a good teaching. It's only the first 2 levels. You need to learn how to swim, because floating is one thing, but what if a wave comes, or what if you get tired? You need to learn how to get to the other side of the pool. You need to learn how to get out of the pool.
What about adults who maybe never learned how to swim or aren't, super confident? What sort of advice would you give to them to make them more at ease?
You're not the only one. There are so many. And we had a lot of adults in the beginning of our program that came and they were embarrassed. And we had people in their 20s, 30s. The oldest person that we had in actually Michigan, it was 87-year-old Indian person.
That's adorable.
He could not, he was so, his trauma was so big from drowning back in India that he couldn't even put his feet into the pool. He's with us now, I think, for 4+ years already in the program. He swims.
That's so brave of him.
He's a doctor, or retired doctor, and he's very tiny and skinny. He's so cute in the way of how he approaches the entire process, and seeing an 87-year-old retired doctor learning how to swim and being able to swim, that's all it talks about.
That's awesome.
And it's fun. So don't ever be embarrassed if you're in your 20s. I actually I went boating in lakes in Michigan a few weeks ago, and one of the guys that was with us was 26 years old, and he didn't know how to swim, and he didn't tell us. He was on the boat with us, and he went tubing, and he flipped and fell. And all of a sudden we see him, and he starts drowning. So don't ever be embarrassed. It doesn't matter what age you are. Right away, obviously, we saved him. We had swimmers on the boat, but we got him into our swim program. So don't ever be embarrassed. People don't know how to swim, and it's fine.
Does it surprise you, though, especially in a state of Florida where it's warm all the time, that you'll get adults that don't know how to swim?
No, it doesn't. After seeing the things, the different ages and the approach, people just think, I'll just stay away from water and pools. It doesn't happen. It doesn't surprise me. I see all ages, all levels of people just don't know how to swim, and we're very open about it. We communicate with our members, and when an adult comes to us, as soon as they're in their 20s, we're very understanding, and the first thing we tell them, you're not the only one. We have hundreds in Michigan that are in their 20s. So swim lessons for babies and toddlers and kids, it's a big priority for safety. But for us, it's also we must know.
I feel like the movie Jaws ruined the generation.
Probably.
Is there any difference between teaching a child versus teaching an adult?
In many ways, no, because you're still teaching almost the same curriculum. It's more the mental approach, because adults are more close-minded, and they have their own opinion about how everything should be done. And a kid just wants to get in the pool, play, have fun, and in that fun environment, you teach them how to swim. So with an adult, it's actually, I say it's more talking and engaging and figuring out the mental side and breaking that bad habit. With the kids, you just teaching fresh from the start.
Nim Shapiro of Aqua Swim School joining us. All right, so how did you decide to bring your school from Michigan to Jacksonville?
I think we can, I'll give you 3 guesses, but it's the cold weather. I mean, we have snow almost year-round over there. Here you have sunny, beautiful place, beautiful people.
But why Jacksonville in the entire state?
I went to high school here. I am a Bose School alumni. I came here because of swimming. Bose have one of the best programs in the world. In my opinion, definitely the best swim program in the country.
Wow.
And this city gave me a lot. So again, it's giving back to the city that I love, and the relationships and the people that I know here. It's everything for me. I have a family here.
So let's talk about your facility itself. How did you decide where to put it, and are you building a brand new pool?
Yeah, so our facility is indoor facility. It's actually very close to my family and very close to Bowls. It all happened in coincidence during Christmas break, and I saw a property, daycare center, and we decided to flip it, and we built our own new pool. The whole building is brand new right now, and we're in the final stages. We should be ready to open in 3 or 4 weeks by the end of July. And it's going to be a year-round indoor facility. It's heated water.
Which makes a big difference. Yes, it is Florida, but not having a heated pool is awful.
I think we're in an era that parents are very particular. There are certain things.
Spoken from someone who deals with a lot of parents.
Yeah, I have 3 ladies in here, and moms usually want certain things like hot water. And let's be honest, when we grew up, I don't think those were the things that our parents really cared about. They threw us in the water. If it's cold or hot, it didn't matter. But today, in today's world, you need a warm pool. You need the kids to have fun, and we're going to deliver all of it.
I used to ride to swim practice, and my poor mom, I would make her turn the AC off with the windows up because I wanted to get as hot as I possibly could before I had to go in the pool that was not heated. And then I'd shake as soon as I got in the pool. But poor thing, she's like driving, sweating. Right. She's not about to get in the pool.
You see, because of your trauma, now we need to make sure the pools are 100 Fahrenheit.
Correct. Although,
it's because your mom.
It didn't last too long. Swimming in a non-heated pool.
Well, with you as a Bulls alumni and an Olympian yourself, have you been watching Ryan Murphy's career?
Of course, I train with Ryan. Ryan is a great guy. He's a local, and there is Ryan, there is Caleb Dressel. They're both local, but both have a very long legacy or very successful Olympian and Olympian medalist. But Ryan specifically, I trained with him, and I have great respect to him as a person and as an athlete in the water. Is the hardest worker I've met in my life, and I've seen swimmers all over the world, and his dedication to the sport is something second to none. So I'm very proud to have been able to train with somebody like him, call him a teammate, and be part of the same legacy. So.
Learning how to swim is one thing, but what was the step in your life that you said, I want to be an Olympian?
In 2004, I watched the Athens Olympic Games on my TV in Israel, and I remember seeing this South Africa relay team winning by a distance and breaking the world record. And it just inspired me. I got inspired, and I remember sitting with my father in the living room, and I had goosebumps. And I told my dad, I want to be an Olympian. And he looked at me and he said, well, you need to pick a sport then. And at the time, my passion was to swimming and basketball, and I picked swimming. I should have picked basketball, much more money, right? But I picked swimming. I'm not sorry about it. The experience I had was amazing. Training to the Olympics, becoming an Olympian, afterwards. It's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. The dedication that you had to do you training for 4 years to compete for 1 minute and 45 seconds. So there is a lot of dedication and attention to details. And it's a habit that is engraved into me because I am an Olympian.
Is that also what brought you to the States?
Yes. So I traveled all over the world, between Israel to England to Florida, Arizona, and then Michigan, all because of swimming. I always looked for the better place for me and the better program and the better coaches that will take me to where my vision.
3 minutes.
And that's how I got to Jacksonville, to Bulls. It's one of the best programs in the world. So
yeah, I remember competing against Bulls in middle school. It was not fun.
I swam for Bulls.
Instant win every time.
I'm sorry you lost.
Every time.
It's almost like when people ask me, did you swim against Michael Phelps? And then the next question is, so what place did you get? Obviously, I didn't win.
Yeah, we never won.
Yeah, I swam for Bulls for a very, very brief period of time, because living at the beach, commuting to Bulls for 2 practices a day was out of the question. But it happened for a while, thanks to the same mom who was driving me around. But I think Jacksonville has a great area, or is a great area for swimmers. I mean, you mentioned Ryan Murphy, and I know a lot of people that I swam with in high school went on to go ahead and swim in college, and I think it's not just a hotbed for, we talk about baseball and football, but I think swimming too.
2 minutes.
Oh, Jacksonville, Bulls specifically, is the mecca of swimming in the world for high school swimmers that have a big potential. In the last Olympics, I think we had 3 swimmers from both, total of 6 gold medals.
Wow.
So we have Ryan Murphy, we have Joseph Scullin, we have Caleb Dressel, that in my opinion Ryan is the hardest worker athlete that I met. Caleb is probably the most talented that I've seen in swimming.
Gator, by the way.
So I'm thinking, and I'm gonna say this on radio because I made a bet with someone, but I think that Caleb Dressel is going to beat Michael Phelps' record. So now it's on the record.
Wow.
We shall see. All right. Well, if people want more
Marking that
information,
down.
775-9400, located at Bay Meadows in San Jose, or you can head online to aquaswimclub.com. Nim, thanks so much for coming in and spending time with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Again, more information, aquaswimclub.com, or call 775-9400. Well, ladies, that's a wrap. We are out of here, but we will be back with you next Tuesday night. Don't forget, Hacker After Dark is coming up next with Andrew Gibson. For Blythe Brumleve and Donna Murphy, I'm Lauren Brooks. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night.
Awesome. Fascinating interview.
Well, you are fantastic.
Sorry, Tyler, I forgot to say thank you. I just never said that.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. That was a good interview.
No, but I'm serious.
Thank you.
Caleb is gonna beat.
No, I believe
Phelps.
you.
And now it's on record. At $3,000. That's
$3,000? Oh my
yeah,
gosh!
But it's double if I win. It's triple if he wins.
Holy
so.
cow!
But we'll
yeah,
see. Now it's
pretty
on
good.
record.
That's awesome. It's so nice to
Nice
meet
meeting you.
Thank
This
you.
baby.
Yeah, nice
in
to meet
swim
you.
lessons, right?
Yes. Well, she's swimming right now in there, so yeah.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week. Tuesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. right here on YouTube. Hit that
Thank you,
subscribe button.
Lauren.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think